Hi, so I would like to introduce my special guest that I've been telling my audience about. Her name is Miss Kimberly Claiborne, and just a little big backstory. We actually met online, right?
Yes, oddly enough.
Right, we met online, and we had an interesting conversation. And while we're online on social media, we were discussing narcissistic abuse, Stockholm syndrome, and we were educating other people that were on the platform. And I feel like you had a lot of good information to share, and I instantly thought it would be a great idea to have you on my podcast. So welcome today.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Thank you. So could you tell us a little bit about your work, your current work, your past accomplishments in work, and why you're so passionate about this topic of narcissistic abuse, domestic violence, and so forth?
Yeah, well, I'm actually a survivor of childhood domestic violence and also a survivor of being in a narcissistic abusive relationship. To summarize my life story, my grandparents got custody of me when I was 2 because of my father's behaviors. He kept my mom isolated from me all of my life.
Wow.
And I could only see her when he said it was fine. My sisters were born in 97. His control intensified then. We were not allowed to be with them for holidays, birthdays, anything like that. Weren't allowed to leave the apartment when we would go visit them. So when my sisters turned 14, one of them called me and told me that they needed to talk to me. They put their friend's mother on the phone, and the woman said, my sister has abuse claims. What should we do? And that brought up a long battle with CPS, the police, and a whole mess of court dates.
Wow.
CPS actually didn't help us at all. They actually told me they couldn't help because my sisters were old enough to take care of themselves because they were 14, and that they would not help until my father killed them or put them in the ER.
Oh my God.
Yes, and my sister's schools was calling CPS because he was grounding them from school, and still nothing was done.
Wow.
So from that moment, I realized if nobody's going to help us, I'm going to have to figure out how to make this situation better on my own. So I started educating myself on domestic violence, searching thehotline.org and I ordered books. And finally in October of 2014, my mom finally left my dad.
Wow.
She, oddly enough, it was her high school reunion, and he wouldn't let her go. And I told her, you never get to do anything fun. You're the only person that works. He takes all your money. Go out with your old friends and have fun.
Yeah.
So she ran down the highway, hid behind a bush, and her friend came and picked her up. And that was the moment on when she left. And then from then on, I started sharing our story globally. I actually was contacted by the National Domestic Violence Hotline to share their Thanksgiving campaign in 2016. Yeah. And so I was featured on their blog, and then they actually invited me out to their 20th anniversary banquet in Austin, where I got to meet the CEO and all the other staff. And then just more opportunities kept pouring in. I was selected to go to the United States Women's Summit by the White House administration.
Amazing.
Twice. So I got I got to see Barack and Michelle twice.
Really? So awesome.
Yeah. Once in 2016 and actually again last year. Yes, and then I'm also a published author of a book on domestic violence with 12 other victims of domestic violence that share their story.
I was reading on that. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
And you were there with, I guess, one of the collaborators was James Brown's daughter. Yes, I saw
Brown. That. Yeah. And then also Canoris Davis. He used to play for the New England Patriots. He's also in the book as well. So it was a really amazing opportunity to be a part of that and actually have my story published in a book. So now I can go to Barnes and Noble and search my name on that little kiosk, and I feel super cool doing it.
And please let the audience know the name of that book and where they can find it.
Yes, the book is Wounds to Wisdom, the Survivor Series Volume 2.
Okay.
And the book is compiled by a woman named Tomiko Lowry Pugh. And I actually have been following her for about a year. And then she made a call saying she's looking for survivors to be in a part of her new book series. So I applied. She called me the next day. We talked. She said I'm the perfect fit. And that was that. And then, I flew out to Atlanta for the book release banquet.
And say the title one more time, just so the audience can catch that.
It's Wounds to Wisdom, the Survivor Series, Volume 2.
Okay, great.
Yes, and actually in October last year, I did my first public speaking engagement at the Plaid for Women conference. I was able to host 2 different workshops to various audiences, and the name of my workshop was Turning Your Wounds into Wisdom.
Wow.
So it kind of, was a play along, the title of my book. And, I was super nervous at being my first public speaking event. And my co-founder of my organization, which I'll get into later, she wasn't able to attend. So I was like, I have to set this all up on my own.
Right.
I've never done this before. What am I going to do? And actually nailed it, I guess, because the CEO of the organization came up to me and she's like, I'm really getting some amazing feedback about your sessions. And I was like, what?
That's awesome. Now, I have a question. I know we talked a little bit, off of the podcast, and I like to kind of get to know the person by reading their bio. And I know you explained to me that you found yourself, even after this, in an abusive relationship. Can you tell us about that? And because a lot of people think that it can happen to me. And sometimes we miss some of those signs that are very apparent when we look, back, like, oh my God, how did I miss that? So could you please talk about that as well?
Yeah, totally. It was in 2017. I was actually in a very bad place in life. My mother had come live with me for a while. And I, of course, had never really lived with her before. So it was triggering a lot of past trauma that I had no idea that I even had.
Wow.
Abandonment and things like that. And it kind of sent me in a downward spiral. I became very depressed. I was having panic attacks. I was awake for 6 days and constantly crying. I finally realized I should probably go talk to a therapist. And I was 2 weeks into therapy. And a man I used to work with at my old job found me on a dating app, and we reconnected. And he slowly began to hook me. And now I realize I was the perfect target because of my mental state I was in at that point.
So did you know him before?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I used to work at Walmart for 5 years, and we worked together there. We never really talked while working there, but we were definitely feeling each other.
Exactly.
But we never talked until he quit. Never thought I would see him again. Then he found me online and we connected. And I think abusers are able to realize when a certain person is not in the best mental spot. And I was the perfect target for that at the time. And so I think also people don't realize when you first meet somebody that's a narcissist or an abuser, they're actually pretty much everything you've ever dreamed of.
Absolutely. You're the center of their world in the beginning.
Yes. Yes. I mean, just in a few weeks, he's saying, I love you, Kimberly. Let's have a family one day. Let's get married one day. And of course, you're going to think, wow, nobody's ever said these things to me before. This is awesome.
Right.
And, but it was clearly a setup to hook me.
Right.
And so when people really say like, why doesn't she just leave? There's so much more to that.
So much more.
Because, you know, when I think back to that, if I would have been an outsider and somebody, you know, had told me, oh, he's a narcissist, he does this and that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? He's an amazing guy. Because you don't know how they are until you actually are dating them.
Say that again. That is so important. That is so important. Yes. I had this conversation with someone. Yes. You won't know.
Until you're dating them.
You won't know.
Because abusers only abuse people. Well, I mean, we weren't living together, but they only abuse people inside the home. To the outside,
they're amazing. Like, he would never do
your
that.
Average nice guy. Exactly. Exactly. And so little by little, he would start trying to get more control over me. He wanted all my passwords to my social media.
Very controlling. That's another red flag.
Yeah. And I'm a very big, you know, concert person, love going to concerts. So when I would go to concerts, he would accuse me of the celebrities in the band.
Oh, God.
And yeah, and I was like, how would I even have the opportunity to be in that sort of position to have that happen? And he'd be like, well, I know if you had the opportunity, you would get with him and cheat on me and leave me for him. And narcissists and abusers start to come up with all these crazy scenarios in their head. Yeah, that start to make them agitated and angry and eventually cause them to blow up on you. Because of what's going on in their head. Right. And so, like I said, in the beginning stages of a narcissistic and abusive relationship, it's not at all uncommon for them to shower you with compliments, gifts, constant attention, and things like that. But over time, they start to do little things
to chip away,
little by
to
little.
Devalue you. Yes.
Yeah, to see how far they can push the envelope. And that's what he did. Yeah.
How long were you in the relationship with him?
Thankfully, it was only about 3 months.
That's good.
And
very good.
Yes. I you know, being an empath and an advocate, he has past trauma, and that's another thing I think we need to cover.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes.
Because most of them have past trauma, because what makes up a narcissistic abuser is they're very empty in the inside. So they try to devalue you because they're empty, and that makes them feel worthy, actually.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. He was adopted when he was a child, and he had a lot of issues from his birth mom, you know, abandoning him. Yeah.
Always stems from the mom. I'm telling you, statistics always go there. Seriously.
Yeah. And I exhausted myself trying to find ways to help him. I found him support groups. I tried to get him into like church groups. I sent him books about like recovering from trauma and things like that. And I was just mentally exhausting myself trying to save somebody that didn't really want to be saved at all, because their trauma gets them the attention that they want.
You're hitting on some real gems here, because their trauma is a reinforcement for them. They get the because we have flying monkeys. I don't know if you're aware of that term. Oh yeah. Yes. They have a lot of flying monkeys too. And let's go into detail. You know what? Can you explain that?
Yes, the flying monkey actually. Yes. In my experience, because I had all of his flying monkeys. All of his friends and family started to attack me, and the reason why, which I guess I'll get into this now. When we broke up, I decided as an advocate I needed to speak up about this. So I know usually narcissists are the same way with their exes. Absolutely. And so I had contacted his ex that he was with right before me. And I was like, I was just wondering, did these things happen to you too? And like every text screenshot that she sent me was almost identical to all the texts that I had on my phone. And I was like, I know this sounds crazy.
Yeah.
But should we make a video showing these texts, sharing our story, and actually naming him?
Wow.
To warn people. And we were so torn on if we should do this or not, because sometimes, he would get super angry and you would have no idea what he was capable of.
Right.
He was a very strong guy. He was a bodybuilder.
They're very scary. They can be very scary. Their behavior, absolutely. Yes. Very vindictive.
And oh my goodness, yes. And so we decided to go ahead and make the video. We went to my best friend's house, so he wouldn't, be able to tell if it was filmed at my house, her house.
Okay.
And we shared all of our texts. Even I showed my bank statements of when he stole money out of my bank account.
Wow.
Yes, I had asked him to go get us some takeout for dinner one night, and the next day I went home and found I had like $50 out of my account. And I know you didn't spend $50 at Jack in the Box.
Right.
Yeah. So where's my money?
Right.
And so we showed all of that and we posted it. I sent it to a lot of the people he knew, and that caused a huge hellstorm of flying monkeys.
And you know why too? Because they do not like exposure.
Right. Well, not only that,
monkeys,
it's like,
but the flying monkeys don't see that behavior. They don't see that.
Exactly, completely. They're literally, they told me, they're like, "You're a liar. He's the nicest person I've ever met. He would never do this." And that's why I was like, you don't find out until you date them, because hey, I thought the same thing too.
And the thing about it, they really are nice to those people. They really are.
Exactly.
But when you date them, but sometimes a little bit of their manipulation will come out because they're total users of everybody. Anybody in their life, they're using them for something.
Right. Oh,
no matter who they are. Seriously.
Exactly. Right. And so all of his family and friends were attacking me, slandering me, calling me a whore, and all of these terrible different things.
That's what they have. The flying
Like,
monkeys.
I literally showed you guys proof and evidence of this. What more do you want? All the proof is out here. And it's so hard for people to accept, I think.
It really is, until they're in it or their loved one. And sometimes they don't even believe their own loved ones, because I've worked with people who their own mothers did not believe their daughters because they loved their quote-unquote son-in-law. Seriously.
Yes.
And I've never seen him do that. I know how you are, but he's not like that. I have seen families being torn apart. And as I'm on this subject now, I would like to segue into the R. Kelly thing. His allegedly, I would say for right now, have some of the things that you have seen in the media, have it triggered anything for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Please talk on that.
A lot of the things that I experienced with my narcissistic ex immediately jumped out to me while watching that Gayle King interview.
Wow, amazing.
And one particular line he said was, "I need help. I need help because I have a big heart.
Yep.
And I'm always getting hurt." My narcissistic ex said that all the time.
Are you serious?
He's like, "I'm always getting hurt because I'm so good to people."
The victim role. The victim role.
Oh my gosh. Yes, completely. And just making a big scene. And well, it's technically called, I'm sure you know, it's called the poor me routine.
Oh yeah. And smoke screening. He was smoke screening to avoid answering questions. He had to, do this big dramatic thing because he had to skate around answering Gayle.
Right. Exactly. Well,
very
and
typical.
I want to point out too, I think a lot of people are missing this major thing. How Azriel contradicted herself when.
Oh, please.
Yes.
Go ahead. Please.
When Gayle asked, had R. Kelly ever had sex with her when she was underage? She said no. But then she goes on to say, "My parents made me lie about my age."
Right.
Well, dear, if you're legal, why would you even need to lie about your age?
Exactly. And why did you need a consent to even go with him?
Exactly.
There were so many holes. So I'm like, and I hate to say it, but I wonder if they got in trouble after that, because the interview didn't go well at all.
Oh yeah.
It did the opposite. Which I'm so glad.
So you think maybe they had like repercussions when they got back?
Oh, I'm almost sure they did. I'm almost sure they did. And, you know, I've said it before. I've talked with people that are connected with that. And so, yeah, he's, that's what I'm just going to leave it at allegedly right now. And
with big air quotations.
Yes, with big air quotations.
Huge.
Yes, he's a very sick man. I'll say that. And I think the world saw it during the interview. I'm wondering how many people were actually even triggered by it, because his behavior was so textbook narcissistic personality disorder. It really was. Yes. If you're a clinician, I'm a clinician, and a lot of my colleagues, we talked about it. So textbook, where something else even came up, where I don't even think it's just narcissism. I think it's anti-social personality disorder, because they're big rule breakers. He's a sociopath.
Yes.
Clearly.
Yes.
He's a sociopath. You're breaking rules. You know what you're doing. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Right. Well,
so
you know,
antisocial stuff too.
Sociopaths typically only have empathy for themselves.
There you go.
And that
there
whole
you
interview was me, poor me, you know.
Everything was directed back to himself. Right. And sometimes narcissists can actually kind of play the role. He didn't even play the role.
Right.
At all.
Yeah, he wasn't even, I mean, I guess he thought he was being slick, but
and that's the pathology of it all, because you really don't even see it.
Exactly. Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I was saying about my ex, we made that video, we posted it. Women started contacting me left and right about
him.
Yeah.
How many women contacted you?
Well, as of today, which has been a year since the video has been posted, as of today, 13 women have come forward. Yes. Even as a few months ago, I received a message, and actually yesterday, one of his victims sent me a screenshot of him contacting her yesterday, attempting a Hoover, which I know a lot of people don't know. Oh yeah.
Please explain that. Yeah. I know as a clinician what it is, but can you explain it from your perspective of what he did? And
yes.
Then, yeah.
Hoovering is basically where they're going to contact you with all sorts of promises and apologies, saying, you know, I'm working on myself, I'm going to change, or I'm going to go to therapy.
I'm sorry.
And typically, a Hoover is happening either because the narcissistic supply that they had on lock fell through. So now they don't have anybody. So they're coming back to you. With narcissists, they go in a cycle over and over again.
Yes.
From, you know, idolization to
devaluation.
Yes, to discarding, to finding new supply, hoovering back to an old victim, just over and over and over again. And
please define, because I know we know what these terms are, but maybe people in the audience doesn't. What is narcissistic supply?
Narcissistic supply is pretty much narcissists always have a line of women waiting in the background, different options that they can choose from when they're in need of some sort of what's the word for it?
They need attention. They need to, like I said before, they are empty individuals, and it doesn't always have to be in a relationship. It can be a friendship, because the flying monkeys also provide them with narcissistic supply as well.
Right.
Because they're boosting their ego, they're building their self-esteem, because they're really empty. They're really empty vessels. Right. If you notice, a lot of times a narcissist will even mimic people. They don't even know they're doing it. But I've had people even mimic me, or I'll post something on social media, they'll do the same. They do not know how to function by themselves.
Right. Well, speaking of mimicking.
Oh yeah, they do that really well.
When I was in the relationship with my narcissist, he knew I was a domestic violence advocate. He knew this was my passion, and that I was educated on this. So he started telling me how he's going to start a project called Project Archangel, where he's going to go and save women from abusive relationships.
There we go. Mimic.
Yes.
He has no interest in that whatsoever, but he has to mimic you because he see you being rewarded for it. People love you for it. So, let me do that. And I can also gain her attention and the attention and rewards from other people. That's why they do it.
Right. Well, and when I was with him, it's when my book was being released, and he was very jealous of that.
Oh yeah, very jealous.
And he was like, you're not the only person who's gonna be successful. I'm gonna get there too. And I was like, well, that's great.
They're very jealous. And they will always try to shoot down whatever you're doing. They'll shoot it down by actually saying it, or they'll try to mimic it so they can be better than you. Oh, yes, exactly. It's very obvious. I know it right when I see it from people. Right. I may not tell them that, but I know exactly what it looks like.
Right. I think it's very, very crucial to make it clear to people.
Oh, yeah.
If I, as a domestic violence advocate, fell for this, when I know the signs. And I know the signs.
Absolutely.
And I fell for it, anybody is going to.
Anybody can.
Yeah.
Anyone can. And I'm glad you said that, because we see so much victim shaming online, and I can't respond to everyone. It feels like I want to respond to everyone and just get them to see it. And it's so funny because that's how we met, actually, because I was like, somebody gets it. Like, who is she? Okay, we need to add each other because we have some work to do. And what you said, it was just like you hit it on the head. But so many people just do not see what's in front of their faces.
Right.
The signs are all there.
Exactly. And it's funny because, I don't have a degree in this. I'm just an ordinary girl. My day job is a preschool teacher at a daycare. Yeah. And I don't have a degree in this. But what I do have is a story. What I do have is a voice and experience. And I have been deeply educating myself on this for quite some time. And so, I think people need to understand you don't have to have all these fancy degrees and things like that to be able to be an advocate.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted you on, because my podcast, of course, I'm a clinician, and I've had guests on my podcast who are other clinicians, but I wanted the audience to hear from someone who actually lived through it.
Right.
And not to say some of my clinicians haven't lived through things, because a lot of times we become clinicians because we have dealt with things, but someone who is not in the field, but who's just as passionate about it.
Right.
Seriously.
Exactly. Well,
what do you have upcoming? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
I've been getting a lot of hate over commenting on this R. Kelly situation.
Wow. Really? From who?
From a lot of people. Of course, you got the people bringing up, what about Weinstein? What about the priest? And I typically reply back with, just because other predators have done it too doesn't make it okay if R. Kelly does it as well.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's like when little kids say, well, he did it too. Well,
exactly.
Guess what? That person's not making good choices. So how about you make better and smarter choices?
Exactly.
And not make the same mistake as them. Because don't point the finger and say, he did it too. And that's, as a preschool teacher, I deal with that every day.
But even that defense is not even logical when Weinstein is being charged as we speak.
Yeah, his pretrial was
R. Kelly has been going, R. Kelly has been getting away with this for years.
Yeah.
And let's not bring up the people who live in Chicago, because I know people who live in Chicago, they know way more than we know.
Right. And what I'm also experiencing is people within the Black community are angry that I'm a white woman advocating for this, saying that I need to mind my own business. Yes, that I need to mind my own business, that I know nothing about what they go through, that just one of their own is being brought down. And why? Because I'm white, I'm not allowed to care about the safety and well-being. And that's why I wanted you on my podcast. Yeah. Because abuse doesn't have a color, first of all. Yeah. An advocate is an advocate is an advocate. And
these are Black women majority, because not even all, that are being abused. So why wouldn't you take a stance even more so than you? I don't get it.
Exactly.
I just don't get it.
Well,
I don't get it.
We all know if R. Kelly's victims were white, every KKK group in the nation would be going ballistic right now.
And you know it.
Trying to burn his place down. It would be a total outrage.
He wouldn't still be free right now. Absolutely not.
No.
And we all know that. He would not be free right now.
Exactly. But given that it is Black women, people don't care. And it's really sad. And when, Black women tell me that it's none of my business, in my experience through advocacy, actually Black women have been the most supportive and empowering in my journey.
Exactly.
In my book, it's all women of color.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And they have been so supportive of everything that I do. And when I go to events, actually, I've had quite a few white women be super snobby and rude to me at events that's about women empowerment.
Wow. And you know what? You just said something that I never thought about. Is it a thing that we don't take care of our own then? Because being that you just said that Black women are empowering you, but we're not even empowering each other.
Ah, that's true. Good point.
But then you tell me that white women are, are being negative towards you. So what is it about that? That's something to explore further.
Exactly. At the events, I have amazing conversations with Black women. We chat it up. We laugh it up.
Wow.
And one particular scenario is when I was at the United States Women's Summit in D.C. I think we were at lunch break. I went back to my assigned seat, and a white woman stole my seat. And I was like, I was sitting there. And she just gave me a dirty look, and she's like, too bad, it's mine now.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, we're in an event that's all about women empowerment.
Oh, no.
And you're acting this way. And I was like, if I could, I would go backstage and tell Michelle Obama on you.
Right.
Because I don't think she'd be happy with your attitude right now.
No, not at all. And it's so funny because the men, and I wouldn't just say men because there are also women abusers as well.
Oh, yeah.
But in this case, we're talking about men. They hide behind that. And so they get off usually because, that's happening.
Right.
I want to segue a little bit about grooming. Because, when you talked about in the beginning where he showered you, that is a part of grooming. What other things can our audience look for in terms of grooming? Because when I say abuse, we talked about the R. Kelly situation because he has been, abusing women and children.
Right.
And when I was looking at it and researching, I said, oh my God, it's like a light bulb went off. He also groomed parents as well.
Yeah, totally.
And that has to be brought up because our parents need to know what to look for when they are also being groomed.
Right. I think if, the narcissist is being oddly overly friendly when they first meet them. Like, as for mine, the first day he met my family, he was like, I think if I ever became homeless, they would let me move in with them.
See?
I was like, what?
They're setting the stage.
Yeah, you just met them today. Why would you even say something like that? And that's a part of grooming. And
oh yeah,
when they're with your family, they put on a whole show. They put their arm around you. They're talking about how amazing you are.
Right.
So your family thinks, oh, well, this is a really good thing for her. Because my family and friends were super happy for me when I first met my narcissist.
Really?
They were like, he's such a good guy. I'm so glad you finally met somebody. You deserve this. I'm so happy for you. Not knowing what was to come. As well, he would contact my friends, and try to tell them things about me. And then when I finally broke my silence, 2 of my best friends actually disowned me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so typical. I hear that a lot.
Yeah. they said that I was causing too much drama. It's because I have mommy and daddy issues and they don't want to hear it anymore. And and so they disowned me and they haven't spoken to me since. And that was really hurtful, because people need to realize when somebody's coming out of a narcissistic relationship or abusive relationship, that is so vital that they need support at that time.
Yes.
Don't, put aside, your own personal feelings about the situation. Just be supportive and, offer to go out to lunch with them one day. Take their mind off of it. Give them positive experiences.
Right.
And certainly don't disown them, but as far as
support is needed. There's a lot of grooming tactics. I actually want to go over some more too while I'm on the phone with you, to see if some of these happen as well, or have you seen these in other situations. But we first talked about targeting the victim, so they do that. What else?
Right.
They gain the victim's trust or family. Another thing that I found all of these on Oprah.com, to be honest with you. I thought it was a very good article.
Really?
Number 3, they fulfill a need.
Wow.
So they try to see where there's a void. I've seen that as well. So they're, gifts, attention, anytime there's a void. So a lot of times they want to know your story. And I heard that even in the R. Kelly situation, they all, I was abused. So they want to know your story. Absolutely.
Yes.
This.
Yes.
Oh yeah. They want to know your story. They isolate you. So they do a lot of isolation. Stage 5, sexualizing the relationship. And I've heard this. They're very sexual beings sometimes, where they'll also make you do things that you are too ashamed to even come out and say you did. Absolutely.
Right. So true.
What else?
Right.
They strive to maintain control, and that's the last thing. So with all of those together, they have the victim very crippled.
Right. Well, obviously, if they started being controlling and abusive right away, it would be more likely for the victim to leave, because they're not emotionally invested yet.
That's right.
So why would they abuse in the beginning? That they have more of a chance of, of losing that victim. And also, an abuser doesn't abuse every day. They do have, they have good moments, days where they do the right things. And also moments where they say the right things. But I think the key to remember is that just because an abuser is having a good day,
they're still an abuser.
They're still an abuser based on
the sad part is that, and it changes. And I'm glad you brought that up, when they have their good days. So they have the highs and the lows. And so it's almost like a person is addicted to heroin. Actually, they have done research to show that when you're in an abusive relationship like that, it's almost if a person is addicted to heroin, because it changes the chemicals in your brain. Oh yeah, big time.
Oh yeah. At the end of my breakup, I thought I was losing my mind, because I was so used to talking to him every day, and then ripped away from me,
and you created a bond, even sexually.
And that's the other thing.
You create a bond that way too. Absolutely.
They devalue you like at the drop of a hat. Like the day before, everything was great. The next day,
because someone else must have came into the picture.
Anymore.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I think it's also those good moments and happy memories that victims hold on to that make them think, it wasn't always like this. He's he wasn't like this when we.
And there's some good in him still. I can save him still.
He's having a rough day today.
Right.
Exactly. And just he's just having a rough day today. I'm sure it will get better.
And that's a typical relationship, even when you break up, right? So just imagine adding the abuse to that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to pinpoint a little bit on the hoovering again, and I wanted to add that a lot of times it's not even that they coming back to say I'm sorry. Sometimes they do the shock and awe as well. They and I'll give you an example of that. They may come back and say, "Did you accidentally call me?" They want a reaction from you. So sometimes
Yes.
it's not that, well, I'm sorry, I've changed. Sometimes any means necessary to get a reaction from you, they'll do it.
Right. They'll either, fake some sort of tragedy.
Yes.
Like, I was in a car accident. I'm in the hospital. My dog died.
Did you bot dial me? I saw your number in my phone. And did you call my ex-girlfriend? Because she told me all of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think actually my ex, he had messaged me one time asking me for a recipe that I had made before. And I was like, really? Yes. Are you serious?
They will do things like that. What tips would you give someone who is in a relationship like that right now before we close?
I think the most important thing to remember is that it's not going to get any better. It may be great right now, but if you're seeing little red flags, little inklings that are making you say, this is weird, this doesn't sound right, trust your gut, because your gut is telling you something. And I know it's so hard to believe that this person could be this way, but it definitely can be, and you definitely need to go with your gut. Like, my rule of thumb was always, I can't trust my gut because I've been, screwed over so much in the past. My gut's all messed up. So I have a bad reading of people. But I've come to realize, no, my gut, is telling me the truth.
Right. And
also that, nobody has the right to disrespect you or to control you or to abuse you. You are not somebody's property. You do not have to report to somebody everywhere you go, what you're doing, what you're wearing. Nobody should have the passwords to your social media accounts. Those are all certainly red flags in the beginning that something is wrong. And also definitely, if somebody's saying that they love you after 2 weeks of dating you or being with you, that's not
a red flag.
Either.
Absolutely. Too soon.
Yes. Talking
they don't even know you yet.
Family,
absolutely.
Love. Yeah, exactly. So that's another major red flag that you need to look out for. And also look out for if they're constantly bashing their exes. If they're always saying, my ex was crazy, my ex cheated on me, my ex is the reason this and this and this happened. Usually most of the time, if their exes are all the fault for their breakups in the past,
something's up
with that. How is it likely that your ex has been the cause of every one of your breakups and every one of your relationships?
Yeah, it takes two to tango, so you have to own some part in that.
Right.
We all have. Absolutely. Exactly. I'm glad that you brought that up. One thing that I was thinking as well is to not tell people your story too soon. And that's for everybody across the board. You don't know who they are. Don't tell people your story too soon, and not just have anybody in your Facebook, in your social media, because they study you. They know exactly what to say, what buttons to push, because they have studied you. A narcissist will study you, and social media gives it right to them 24/7.
Exactly. And I did that too. I would get on Facebook and saying like, prayers, I'm having a rough day. And I think, a narcissist will see that as an opportunity.
She's weak and she's vulnerable. Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So you have to be super, super cautious about that. Yes.
What resources would you share with our audience before closing?
Definitely www.thehotline.org, which is the domestic violence hotline. And then also www.domesticshelters.org. You can just simply put in your zip code or whatever your address you're at, and it will come up with all the local resources in your area, shelters, emergency shelters, all of that. And also, you can contact
please
me.
Let them know where to find you on social media as well.
Yes. My organization is Pain to Purpose, Educate, Inspire, Empower. And my best friend, Denise Minix, is my co-founder. She's a survivor as well. Yes, and our social media is facebook.com/pain2purpose18.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Great. You have any other resources to give, or any other ways to contact you, or is that it?
Yes, well, for book orders,
Share
I
that.
take book orders in several ways. I have a website, which is www.survivorbook.ecwid.com. But also, if you just go to my Facebook page, there's a link to all of that on there. And then, I do transactions via Vimo app and things like that. So there's various ways you can contact us. And then we have an Instagram as well, which is Pain to Purpose 18. But we use Facebook as our platform mostly. Yeah.
Well, thank you. It's been such a pleasure, and I'm so glad that we crossed paths. I'm so glad. Continue the good work, because it's so needed. I'm glad that you're giving so many women a voice, and you're empowering women, because that's my platform as well. That's the whole reason why I created this platform, was to educate, empower, inspire, and just provide a platform to educate people, because we see so much on social media and with false information given. And I was like, I have to create a platform where they can come and get educated on what's going on in the world today, with real information, real life people who are experiencing it and who's working in the field. So I thank you so much. And I'm pretty sure we'll do some more work together and more podcasts together.
For sure.
Because I think you're totally amazing. You're amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I actually signed up for a podcast.
Great.
So I'm going to start to try to make podcasts, and my co-founder is going to chime in as well. So,
great.
We're going to start working on that as well.
So keep me posted on that, so I can let the audience know. And thank you so much. Okay.